everyone, welcome to our Crazy Life Scotland. It's Fiona here, and Willa it seems. I never get peace to do these videos. Hi everyone, welcome to our Crazy Life Scotland. It's Fiona here along with Willa on my knee. She will disappear in a minute probably. This is the long awaited second part of my how to do the keto diet videos. I'm sorry it's taken me so long to do, it's just been pretty manic, you know what it's like, but I thought I would do it today. So today, in the first part, which I will link below for anyone who hasn't seen it, we basically looked at an easy way to start the ketogenic diet. For anyone who knows what the keto diet is and wants to get started but wasn't really sure what to do first. So we looked at the types of food that you can and can't eat, what the keto diet actually involves and that sort of thing. This video is going to be a step on for that. So it's basically for people who have been doing what I had suggested in my first video for 3 or 4 weeks, enjoying hopefully being in ketosis and doing the keto diet, but wanting to know what steps to take next to make sure they're doing it properly and to get the best results possible. So sorry, that was Ranach. So the things that I'm going to look at in this video are calculating your macros if you want to track your macros on the keto diet. Also, how to measure your ketones, whether through the urine sticks or through blood. And also adding in intermittent fasting. So that's the 3 things that I'm going to be looking at in this video, and hopefully you will find it helpful. So first of all, let's have a think about calculating your macros on the keto diet. People are obsessed with calculating macros when they're trying to lose weight. Macros, for anyone who doesn't know, are basically your fats, carbohydrates and proteins. It's the main bulk of the food that makes up your calories. Macronutrients is what it stands for. Now, there's a couple of trains of thought with the keto diet regarding calories. Some people think that you do need to count your calories and reduce your calories on the keto diet, and other people think that you don't, because it's more of a sort of hormonal based diet than calorie controlled diet. But for the purpose of this video, I'll look at both for you. First of all, let's calculate macros if you do want to watch your calories and keep your calories limited on the ketogenic diet. The best way to do this is basically to find a keto calculator, and all you need to do is go onto Google and type in keto calculator, and you will see a list of hundreds of different free keto calculators to work out how many grams of fat, carbs and protein that you need to eat in a day and how many calories. So when I did it today, I found a keto calculator by Wholesome Yum. Now Wholesome Yum is a blogger and they have a website, and I've actually signed up to their weekly newsletter. They give you different recipes and things. They're actually really, really good if you're interested. But this is not sponsored in any way, shape or form. This is just the one that I saw and decided to go for because I recognised the name. I'm not affiliated with them at all. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to put in a clip of the screen recording that I took when I was calculating my keto macros, just to show you exactly how easy it is. It only takes a couple of minutes. Watch this. Right, I am female. I am 43 for another week. I'm holding on to being 43. I am 5 foot and 2 inches. And my weight is, what was I on Monday? Was it 138 pounds? Not on Monday, on Thursday. I think so. My body fat percentage is quite high. I'm going to put it about 35. I don't know exactly, but I know it's way too high. My activity level is, I'm going to go with sedentary because I don't do any exercise at the moment. My diet type is ketogenic. You can go low carb. There are some differences between the two. I'm going to stick with ketogenic, and I want 20 grams of carbs a day. Protein ratio, I'm going to keep quite low.
It's up to you what you want to do with your protein ratio. I'm just going to keep it at what it's set at. And my goal is to lose fat. My deficit, do I want 15%? I might just go for about 10%, I think. Oops, well, 11%, that'll do. And then calculate macros. Easy as that. So this is telling me that based on my needs and goals, I should eat 1,318 calories in a day. And of that, I should have 114 grams of fat, which is 78%. I should have 54 grams of protein, which is 16%, and 20 grams of carbs, which is 6%. So that is how you work out your macros.
Right, so once you have calculated the macros that you need in a day, you then basically go about your day eating what you would normally eat. However, you record it in an app such as MyFitnessPal. There are other ones out there, but MyFitnessPal is free and I find it really, really easy to use, and I think a lot of people do use it. And basically all you need to do in that is when you have your breakfast, you go in and you put in the foods that you're eating. You can scan the barcode or you can manually put in the calories, the fat, the protein, etc. And you can tell the MyFitnessPal exactly how much of each food that you're eating. So say you had bacon and eggs for breakfast, you would go into MyFitnessPal, you would add bacon, which you could scan the barcode of whatever packet you're using, or you can manually type in the values that it gives you on the wrapper per 100 grams, and then you can tell MyFitnessPal, right, I'm having 20 grams of this, for example. I don't know how much 20 grams of bacon is. And then it calculates how many calories and grams of fat, carbs and protein you've used. And you would do the same for your eggs. And basically every time you eat anything, you pop it in MyFitnessPal, and at the end of the day, it tells you exactly how many calories you've had and how many grams of fat, protein and carbs. It is very time consuming, especially at the beginning, which is why I said in my first video not to worry about that at the start, just worry about keeping your carbohydrates under 20 grams. However, if you've been doing that for a while and you're kind of used to what you're eating and you think you're ready to track macros and take the next step, then that's all you have to do. And the good thing about using something like MyFitnessPal is every time you pop your food details in, it tells you how much you've got left. So you can tell it what your goals are, and it tells you how much you've got left for the day. So when it comes to, I don't know, like me for example, when it comes to 6 o'clock at night and I think, right, I've got half an hour left before I start fasting, how many grams of fat have I got left, or grams of carbs have I got left, what can I have to eat? And you can go into MyFitnessPal and it gives you an idea of what you've got left, and you think, oh right, I can have a nice cheese string for that, or you know what, I might just have a nice creamy coffee, I've got the macros for that. So it's a good way of keeping track of what you're eating throughout the day. So that is the simple way to track your macros. If you're like me and you follow the train of thought that you don't need to worry about your calorie intake on the keto diet, and I've came to that conclusion through doing a lot of research and also through watching the lovely Ginger from Ginger's Keto in the UK. I'll try to remember to link her channel below. She has some excellent videos out here on YouTube, and she's basically spoken about her experience with calorie restriction on keto and how it actually did her metabolism more harm than good. And she has also done videos of the cream extravaganza that she called it, and it's basically when she spent a week eating almost pure fat and like 3,000 calories a day of cream and still managed to lose weight. So I am of that train of thought. I don't worry about my calories. I just try to keep my percentages of fat around 75%, protein around 20%, and my carbs around 5%. And I stay under 20 grams of carbs a day. To be honest, I still do lazy keto, which basically means I make sure that my carbs are less than 20 grams a day, and as long as that's the case, I don't worry too much about anything else. I'm losing weight at the moment. However, if I do hit a stall, then I will probably go back to tracking my macros and making sure that I weigh everything out and put it in MyFitnessPal, just to make sure that I'm getting my ratios correct, not so much about the calories. So that's number one, calculating your macros. The next thing that I like to look at once you've been on the keto diet for a wee while is finding out how you're actually getting on. Now, you can do that through the scales. However, we all know, especially if you're a lady who has hormones, that weight can fluctuate from week to week, day to day, minute to minute. So it's not always the best indication of how well you're doing. You can measure your body in inches. That's a good way of checking how you're getting on. But specifically on the ketogenic diet, a good way of measuring your success is through measuring the amount of ketones that your body is producing. Now, I'm not going to go into much depth about how your body produces the ketones because I've covered that in other videos. All I'm going to say here is that when you are eating in a ketogenic way, your body will start to burn fat and produce ketones. Now, there's a few different ways of measuring your ketones. You can do it by measuring the ketones in your breath. This is a method I've never used. I don't know how accurate it is, but you can buy meters that are a bit like the meters that the police use for checking if you've been drinking when you're driving, and you basically blow into it and it tells you how many ketones are on your breath. Again, I'm not sure how accurate that is, and I think it's quite expensive. I've never bothered with that way of measuring, but it is a valid way out there that a lot of people do use. The second way is to measure the ketones in your urine, and especially at the start of your journey, that is a good way to do it, because once you start burning the fat and producing the ketones, you'll produce so many ketones that your body doesn't know what to do with them, and a lot of them will spill out into your urine. So you can buy urine sticks on Amazon or in chemists, probably even Holland and Barrett, that sort of place. And all you do is every morning you pee on the ketone stick, a bit like doing a pregnancy test if you've ever done that. And you then compare the colour on the stick to the colour on the chart of the tub, and that tells you how many ketones you've got in your urine, whether you've got none, low amounts, medium amounts or high amounts. Now that is a really good indication at the start of your journey of how well you're doing. The problem is, once your body gets properly fat adapted, that basically means that it knows what to do with the ketones and they stop spilling out into your urine, because the more ketones you produce, the better it is for your body. Your body can use them all, so they're not spilling out into your urine. And that can be quite disheartening if you're only measuring ketones in your urine, because you can go from having high ketones to suddenly having medium amounts or low amounts or even no ketones. That doesn't mean that you've came out of ketosis or that you're not producing ketones. It just means that your body knows what to do with them now, and your body's working a lot better at utilising these ketones. So what I would say is, when you get to that stage, then move on to measuring the ketones in your blood. Now, there are so many different meters that you can buy on the market that measure the ketones in your blood. I have one which I will link in the description below. I can't remember what it's called now. Is it CareSense, I think it's called. And it has the ability, to measure both the ketones in your blood and the glucose in your blood. And it's the same meter that you use, it's just different sticks. Sorry, I can't use my left hand because Willa's lying on it just now. It's just different sticks that you use to put into the same meter. And that is very, very handy, and I'll tell you why in a minute. But you do get meters which only measure glucose, and you also get meters even which only measure ketones. Now, measuring the ketones in your blood is the most accurate way of knowing how you're doing on your ketogenic diet. The more ketones that you've got in your blood, the better you're doing. It basically means that your body's properly fat adapted, it's burning fat, and it's producing those ketones that we need to keep our bodies going, to keep our brains alive, and to basically make sure we're living our best life. So you can get a meter which only measures that, and basically all you do is, it's a bit like testing your glucose if you're a diabetic. And it is indeed the same way if you are testing your glucose as well as your ketones. You get a little pen thing that you use to stab your finger, you get a little pinprick of blood, pop it on the stick that you get, pop that in the meter, and it tells you within about 8 seconds how many ketones are in your blood. Dead simple, dead easy to use. Now, the reason that I got the meter which also checks your glucose is so that I can check something called my GKI, which is your glucose ketone index. That is the most accurate way of not only knowing how many ketones that you're producing, but also what level of ketosis that you're in, because it looks at the ratio between the ketones in your blood and the glucose in your blood. And that then works out what level of ketosis you're in. I'm not going to go into too much detail in this video, but I will pop a link in the description below to the video that I have explaining how you work out your GKI and what it actually means. And I really enjoy doing this. I don't do it all the time because, to be perfectly honest, it can be expensive to buy the strips, especially the ketone strips. The glucose ones aren't too bad, but the ketone ones can be expensive. So I do it maybe once a week if I'm getting back into ketosis, if I've maybe had a cheat day, which we'll talk about later. Or once I'm properly into it again, I'll maybe only do it once a month. Or if I feel funny, if I feel like there's something wrong, I'm maybe stalling with my weight loss, or if I'm feeling bloated, or if I just don't feel quite right, I might check it just to make sure that I am still on track. So that is measuring your ketones. And then the third thing that I want to look at is intermittent fasting. Again, I've got other videos on this that I'll link below, but basically intermittent fasting is an excellent tool to use in conjunction with the ketogenic diet. It can be hard to do at first because basically there's lots of different ways of doing it. The most popular way seems to be the 16-8, which is when you fast for 16 hours and then you eat in an 8-hour eating window. That's the way I do it, and I basically eat from 10:30 in the morning till 6:30 at night, although a lot of people prefer to eat from 12 noon until 8 at night, and then all other times after that I am fasting, which means I only drink water, I don't eat anything else. And there are lots and lots of different pros to intermittent fasting. Again, I'm not going to go into them just now. Please check out my other videos or any other videos on YouTube. There's lots of them out there about intermittent fasting and how good it is for you. However, like I was saying, at the start it can be quite difficult, but if you're already in ketosis and your body is fat adapted, which means that your body started using your own fat, your own body fat for fuel, intermittent fasting is a piece of cake. Because once you're fat adapted, you don't have a huge appetite, so you can easily go for 16 hours without eating, and it really doesn't bother you. So when you're already fat adapted and you add in intermittent fasting, you're basically giving your body a chance to burn more of your own body fat rather than the fuel that you're giving it. In other words, instead of burning the butter and the bacon and the eggs that you're eating, when you're fasting, it's not got them, but it knows that you've got plenty fat on your body. I'm not being judgmental, I've got plenty fat on my body for it to keep burning during the 16 hours that you're not eating. So that helps to boost your weight loss and to boost your goals when you are on a ketogenic diet. So these are the 3 steps that I would take once you've got the basics of the ketogenic diet. I would start measuring my macros. So you use a keto calculator, and then you can either do it restricting calories, which was the first way that I spoke about, or just by making sure that your percentage is correct between all your macros, the ratio is right for the ketogenic diet. Number 2, measuring your ketones to make sure that you definitely are producing ketones, you're definitely doing it all right. And if you can, measure your GKI to make sure that to find out what level of ketosis that you're in, whether it's low, moderate or high. And thirdly, adding intermittent fasting if possible. So those are the 3 things that I would suggest for success on the ketogenic diet once you've got the basics. Now, before you go, there's one more thing that I want to touch on, and that is what I mentioned earlier, and that is cheat days. I would try not to have cheat days if possible at the start of your journey. Basically because you just make your life harder. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that once you're on the ketogenic diet, you're never going to have another slice of bread or slice of cake or, I don't know, sausage roll in your life. I'm not saying that at all, because of course you are, we're human. But if you want to make the ketogenic diet a lifestyle, which basically means that you follow it 99% of the time, and then occasionally you will have a day where you relax and you eat what you fancy. There is nothing wrong with that at all. Nothing at all. I might actually make a separate video on that. However, I would try to avoid having those days until your body is properly fat adapted. So maybe a couple of months into your ketogenic diet. The other thing that I would say is try not to make it every week, because the problem with that is when you have your day off and you maybe eat, I don't know, say you have a decent day and you only eat 100 grams of carbs instead of 20 grams. Now that's not a lot. Okay, in my case, maybe more 500 grams of carbs in the day. If you think about it, when you start eating your keto food again, it takes a while for your body to burn through all that glucose that it has stored in that one day. You would be amazed at how much glucose your body will store just from one day of eating carbs. So it will take you a good couple of days for your body to get through all of that stored glucose before you then start burning your fat again and producing ketones. So say you have a cheat day on the Saturday. You get back on it on the Sunday, but it's going to take probably Sunday and Monday for your body to burn through all the glucose again. So you're not actually getting back into ketosis again until the Tuesday. So then you eat keto Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and your body's going, yes, this is great. And then suddenly you have another cheat day on a Saturday. You're basically only having 4 days out of 7 where you're getting the benefit of ketosis. Now, if that's the way that you want to do it, there's nothing wrong with that. However, you're not going to get good results doing it that way. So let me just tell you my favourite quote for this vlog. Hold on. So Mr. Whiteboard today is saying, keto is like marriage. It doesn't work if you cheat. Okay? So like I say, I'm not saying never ever cheat. I'm just saying don't cheat. No, wait a minute. That makes it sound like it's okay to cheat in your marriage occasionally. I'm not saying that at all. I would never cheat on my husband, and I'm not recommending that any of you do. What I'm saying is that if you cheat regularly on the ketogenic diet, you're not going to get the results that you need. So my whiteboard quote of the vlog is, keto is like marriage. It doesn't work if you cheat. Okay, so thank you so much for watching, everybody. If you do have any questions about anything at all that I've mentioned in this video, please feel free to ask in the comments below, or you can contact me by email or through Instagram. The details are in the description box below, and I will always reply to you. If you have enjoyed this video, please feel free to look at the other videos that I have linked down below. And I will try to remember to link my meter down below. It's not an affiliate link, I don't get anything for it. I'm not affiliated or sponsored by anybody. And if you have enjoyed this video, please hit the thumbs up button and subscribe if you haven't already, and then hit the little bell button so that you get notified every time I put a video up. And if you think anybody else might find this useful, please share it with them. Right, I'm going to go now. So for me and from Willa, who's still lying on my knee, I will see you in my next video. Bye!